Welcome to the WP Builds podcast, bringing you the latest news from the WordPress community. Now, welcome your hosts, David Wormsley and Nathan Wrigley.
Hello there and welcome once again to the WP Builds podcast. You've reached episode number 360, entitled Synchronising Data and Design with Jorge Casals from DataPocket. It was published on Thursday, the 8th of February, 2024. My name's Nathan Wrigley and I'll be joined by Jorge in a few moments to chat about DataPocket. But before then, a few bits of housekeeping. The first thing to mention is we produce quite a bit of stuff over at WP Builds, and the best way to find out about that is to head to our schedule page. It's got the amazingly titled URL wpbuilds.com/ wait for it, schedule. And over there, you're going to find a calendar. That calendar, if you click on the events that we're putting on, you'll be able to add them to your own calendar, typically Apple Calendar or Google Calendar, something like that. You'll see that we've got a This Week in WordPress show every single Monday. I'm joined live by a bunch of WordPressers, and we chat through the WordPress news from the most recent week. We've also got a speeded up show with Sabrina Zidan, and in those shows we attempt to unravel one single thing that you can do to speed up your website, not just WordPress website. So it's tools and tips and tricks, and also you'll see a bunch of other shows peppered in there as well. They are not each and every week, but you'll see them as and when they occur. If you want to watch us live, it's always wpbuilds.com/live at the time in the calendar. The other thing to mention is that we are open to sponsorships. If you would like to get your message out in front of a WordPress specific audience, head to wpbuilds.com/advertise to find out more. The WP Builds podcast is brought to you today by GoDaddy Pro. GoDaddy Pro, the home of managed WordPress hosting that includes free domain, SSL, and 24/7 support. Bundle that with the Hub by GoDaddy Pro to unlock more free benefits to manage multiple sites in one place, invoice clients, and get 30% off new purchases. You can find out more by heading to go.me/WP Builds. Once more, go.me/WP Builds, and sincere thanks to GoDaddy Pro for their ongoing support of the WP Builds podcast. Okay, what have we got for you today? Well, it's an episode with Jorge Casals. He has a service called DataPocket, and DataPocket, it is something you can use to synchronize all sorts of information flowing between your design tools and your e-commerce store. There's a little bit more to it than that, but we talk about why Jorge decided to design this product and how he believes it's revolutionizing e-commerce by automating content creation and synchronizing all of the different assets between your teams. It's really interesting. I think I got a little bit lost in the weeds at various points and didn't quite understand what it was all about. But hopefully, if you listen to Jorge, you'll get a better understanding. I hope that you enjoy it. I am joined on the podcast today by Jorge Casals. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, great. Nice to bump into you online. We're going to be talking today about a product that you and your team have been building. I confess, we've been talking probably for a couple of minutes before the conversation started, and you've been getting me up to speed. So I am by no means an expert in this, and it's quite likely that during the course of the conversation I will say things which are entirely incorrect. But it's called DataPocket. I'm going to encourage people at any point during this podcast, if you don't know what we're on about or you're getting confused, go to datapocket.app. That's 2 P's, datapocket.app. Go there and you'll be able to poke around on that website. Prior to that, though, Jorge, I wonder if you wouldn't mind just telling us a little bit about yourself. So it's a personal question. Just tell us about your background, your work with technology, WordPress, whatever it may be.
Yeah, so, my background is not really technology from the beginning. I'm actually a psychologist. And it turned out that I used to live in London when I was a kid. And my dad has always been working in technology. So I decided to jump into a startup when I was 18 and discover the world of digital marketing. But I was already enrolled in psychology and I really wanted to finish first. But once I finished, I went straight into tech companies, different startups. And what really made the change in my life was when I worked for Epic Games in London. Fortnite creators.
Yeah. Huge company, yeah.
There is where I learned all about digital marketing, really. That's a bit of my background. And then I joined this company where we had no idea about WordPress, really, but we really needed to develop a plugin in order to connect WooCommerce to one of our first SaaS products, which was called Filkers. It was built 2 years ago now. And that's when I discovered the amazing WordPress community, really. And I started to do lots of meetups, join as a speaker, most of them. And as of last year, I was a WordCamp Europe organizer.
Nice.
And this year, I just been accepted for the new one for 2024.
Torino.
Really excited.
Yeah.
Really excited.
Oh, that's great. Oh, well, thank you. Firstly, thank you for your contributions to WordPress. This obviously is a WordPress podcast. The product that we're going to be talking about today, as I said, is called DataPocket. And there's definitely overlaps with WordPress, but I feel that this product goes way further than WordPress. I mean, WordPress is one of the potential use cases, but as we'll discuss, you really can go in all sorts of directions. It feels like this is for teams primarily, possibly teams with designers and marketing wings and all of that kind of stuff. It's all about keeping your team in sync. And okay, it's over to you. You've got a background in psychology. You're into marketing. You've got the 2-minute pitch. Tell us what DataPocket is in the briefest possible way.
Yeah, so DataPocket, the idea is that it acts as the bridge between all sort of content and design. And when I say content, is that we are not just a digital asset management, which would be the typical DAM. We go one step farther and we also synchronize text along with the images. So designers are able to connect their data sources. It can be WordPress, it can be WooCommerce, it can be CSV, can be an API, and bring all that content into Figma, Canva, and Adobe in just a few clicks.
Right. Okay, so let me just try to summarize, and if I fail at this, you must correct me because it's quite likely that I will. I'm imagining something a little bit like Google Drive or Dropbox, where DataPocket is like the source of truth. Everything gets synced back to DataPocket. Then all these other services can reach into DataPocket. So, for example, let's say that we're dealing with design. Figma or Canva can reach in and say, okay, somebody's requested the latest version of the shoe catalog. We're a WooCommerce shop and we're selling shoes, but our team want the latest version, and so they can suck it out. They can fiddle with it in their design tool of choice. I just mentioned a couple, but obviously, Canva, Photoshop, Illustrator, Figma, the list goes on. You can interact with all of those things and then just save it. And the team elsewhere, let's say the marketing team who don't know anything about Photoshop, they could interact with it in their own tool of choice, and it should all just work. And so we've got this one source of truth, this one document flow, and that's the point.
Yeah. So here, I'm going to add a few things into that, I think. The idea here is that designers can work, let's say, collaboratively with other designers when they use different design platforms. So here, again, as you said, if we connect a WooCommerce and you go to Canva, inside Canva, all you have to do is open DataPocket as an official app. If you go to Figma, you open a plugin that is called DataPocket. And if you go to Photoshop or Illustrator, you open an extension. So depending on the design platform, it has a name. But when you open an extension, a plugin, or an app that is called DataPocket, you always have the same set of information at the same time. Okay. So it's always synchronized.
So, okay, let's try and imagine a scenario here then where this is going to be useful. Okay, so let's imagine I am using Canva, online tool, done in the browser, really simple design tool. You are using Photoshop with its myriad almost overwhelming number of options, and you've got an image on there, and that image also contains a few layers of text. So how does that work? If you start to change things in your Photoshop, do I see that in real time in Canva? So let's say that the word, I don't know, sale is in that image, and you delete the word sale, and you add a certain, I don't know, a certain color layer to the image so that it's a bit redder than it was before. Do I see that in real time in Canva? That's the bit that I'm sort of missing. How does that all work?
No, not really. What we're trying to solve here is for individuals. So imagine you're just by yourself and you use Canva. You will just connect DataPocket with your data source. Let's talk about WooCommerce now that we are in the WordPress ecosystem. So we connect our WooCommerce, and what happens is that we have our catalog connected to Canva thanks to DataPocket. And then whatever you do with Canva is your choice. So your exports, your downloads, your sharing, that's totally up to you. What we're trying to do is to solve the problem of managing all the images, all the folders, all the latest prices, all the titles, the spelling mistakes, and all of those onto one platform. What happens is that if you want to use DataPocket with your team, it doesn't mean that you guys will have designs being updated in real time thanks to DataPocket, because that's up to the platform that you're using, right? So the idea here is that when you work with a team, sometimes happens that the social media manager will probably use Canva, but your graphic designer will probably use Figma or Photoshop. The idea here is that all three of them can use the same data source. So we know that they're all designing with the latest images and they're designing with the latest prices always. But it doesn't mean that they're going to be sharing the design. That should go then onto, let's say, Dropbox, Google Drive, or X.
So I am now definitely confused. So the principle here is that there's this one source of data. So rather than it being a bit like Google Docs, where you can obviously collaborate and you can see changes in real time. If you and I are in a Google Doc and you start typing things, I see it. It happens right in front of my eyes. This is more like some sort of version control, is it? Where I operate in Canva. When I'm finished, I close it down. It's then synced back to DataPocket so that anybody else who subsequently comes to it and wants to operate on it, be that in WooCommerce or any other thing, they can access the most up-to-date version. So rather than it being synchronous changes, it's like version control. It just keeps a track of the latest version, a bit like a Dropbox folder would.
Kind of, yeah. It really depends on the platform that you're using, right? So if you use Canva and for some reason you're using Canva Teams, then for example, you and we could be using the same DataPocket and be creating the same design at the same time with our WooCommerce data. But if you are an individual, then you will be using Canva by yourself, if that makes sense. We don't really synchronize the end design onto DataPocket. We are just the connection between the data source and the design platform. We're kind of like the bridge in between.
So
it's more simple than you think.
Yeah. I'm sort of struggling. I've got to say, I'm kind of struggling to see if it's not what I'm imagining it is, and I can't understand what it is from what you just said. Explain it again.
We don't synchronize the design that you do. That's up to you, really. That's up to you if you want to send it on an email after, or if you want to save it on your Dropbox or your Google Drive. All we do is being the bridge between the data source, so all your images, the texts, the prices, so you can have those inside your design platform. So you always design with the latest version of your catalog or your website or your API. That's all we do. Then what you do after with your Canva designs or with your Figma designs, that's totally up to you.
So again, you're going to have to suffer my incredible ignorance here. So give me a real world example. Give me an example of a customer that you've currently got who've come to you and their previous workflow was terrible, and you've given them DataPocket and they've gone away and figured all that out, and they've come back to you and said, it's great, it's working. Tell me how that works in real world.
Okay, so one of the biggest WooCommerce in the world for socks, for example.
Nice.
They're using DataPocket to create their social ads in Canva every single day, because all they do is they went to WordPress.org, they downloaded the plugin DataPocket, they copy this API key that we give them, and you synchronize that with DataPocket, and then go to Canva, open DataPocket, and all you can see now is your whole WooCommerce catalog inside of Canva. And with a simple drag and drop, you can start creating all your social ads in just a few seconds. And that's all they do.
Yeah, so in your scenario, the people who are using WordPress can see everything that's been done by the people that are using Canva. So I'm guessing the principle here is really it's just a time saver. It's allowing, because I mean everything that you've described is entirely possible with email, for example, but it's a real pain in the neck to do all of that, and everything gets out of sync and nobody quite knows where they are and what version they should be up to and all of that kind of stuff. So is that basically it? It's saving you time and it's ease of use.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
and always making sure, for example, that you really need to think of the scenario of being behind an e-commerce, for example. One of the teams will be updating new images, another team will be dealing with prices, and another team might be dealing with text, and they communicate via, I don't know, Slack or email, etc.
Yep.
But with this, the designers, which is the fourth team really, they would just focus on designing, knowing that the backend is always updated. Thanks to DataPocket, because we act as the bridge in between the synchronization between platforms, really.
So is the idea that you set this up and you never really interact directly with DataPocket again, or am I of logging into DataPocket as the sort of central hub, a bit like I would do with Google Drive or something? I have to log into Google and go into that. No, I'm in the end platforms. I'm in Photoshop. I'm in Figma. I'm in WooCommerce. Okay. And so you mentioned two types of data, primarily text and images. How does that present itself? So typically, I think what we're imagining is a scenario where we've got an image and we want to overlay some data over the top. That might then go out as a social post or something. Wow, new sale, lovely new pair of socks. Get 50% off. It's Halloween, something like that. How does that work? Are you overlaying? I mean, just how are you presenting that data to me in, let's say, WooCommerce?
Yeah. So WooCommerce is the perfect example. So I think if you are familiar with that, there's something called product pages, right? So each product page has a certain number of images, category, a text, a manufacturer, a permalink. It has loads of data. So what we do really is imagine you could have your WooCommerce inside of Canva directly. But DataPocket is exactly that. What we do is basically transferring your WooCommerce inside of Canva, so you can select the products that you want on that day and just do a drag and drop onto your, in this case, most people have templates, for example. And it's true that this is a very visual product. And with 5 minutes demo, we could probably solve all the
much
questions.
Better than the audio.
but
that's what we got.
Really, all you have to do, and it's super easy. That's why I'm trying to say here, it's super, super easy. It's just you grab your image and then you just drag it onto your template and it's updated just like that. But you really know that you're using the latest images because it's synchronizing in real time.
So things like the text and what have you, if you're using a template, you can sort of say, okay, the I don't know, the product description or what have you, that's going to go into this portion of this Canva template. So if somebody updates it in WooCommerce, it'll be synced back down to DataPocket, and then the person that opens it in Canva, they'll be able to drag and drop that new information. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get it. Okay. All right. Great. Thank you. So tell us about the breadth and depth of the platforms that you actually touch upon. So obviously we've mentioned WooCommerce, we've mentioned WordPress, I guess generally as well. Yeah. We've touched upon Canva. I think we mentioned Figma. But what else are you syncing with?
Yeah. So we synchronize the main platforms. So we do, for example, PrestaShop, Magento, Shopify, BigCommerce, Wix, Squarespace. Those are the main platforms. And now we're targeting towards Amazon. I don't know how you pronounce it correctly. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
And Target as well. And we also have an API developed. So we give the chance for, I would say, experienced developers to connect whatever it comes to your mind. So we've tried to connect before Instagrams, Twitter accounts, Salesforce, anything that has an API and has images or text can be synchronized with DataPocket.
So that's the sort of the front end web tool, if you like. So the e-commerce solution or the API. And then on the other side of things, the design side of things, which it looks like you're dealing with the Adobe suite of products plus Figma plus Canva. And is that where you stop at the moment? So Photoshop, Illustrator, and a couple of others.
Yeah, we do After Effects as well, in case you want to do videos, and InDesign as well. And we are also looking forward to connect Adobe Express, which is the new one, and FreePic, which is a Spanish company, very similar to Canva.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're exploring more options.
Yeah, and is that suite of tools then, by the sounds of it, if you're expanding a little bit, the intention is to get as many tools under your hood there, but it seems like you've touched the bases of the popular ones first time around. So yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So who's your ideal customer? I'm guessing that if it's me as a freelancer doing everything myself from graphic design to building the website and all of that, there's not really much utility in this because I know where everything is. It's likely stored on my Mac or something like that, This is more about getting larger teams who, may be asleep at different times of the day or in different parts of the world, distributed. Is it more that kind of, that they're your sort of ideal customer?
So we see a bit of everything. It's true that you may have everything on your Mac, but if you play on Figma or Canva, you're going to have to upload those manually each time, and it's going to take you a very long time to find all your images when you have more than 100 products, for example.
Yeah.
The idea here is that it's true that larger e-commerce are using it more than smaller ones. And we're also working with a large company that has over 2,000 designers. So imagine having all your designers with the same set of data always up to date. But that's because what we do in DataPocket as well is that we do ad hoc integrations. So if a very big company asks, okay, I really need this, but in my own way, so maybe they want different categories or different UX from DataPocket, we can do that as well. So we can do ad hoc development for them.
Right, okay. I'm guessing that if you're consuming all of this data, some of it potentially, certainly for some of the bigger companies, if you're a giant multinational company and you're designing, I don't know, the latest set of trainers or something like that, footwear, you probably really do want to keep that image very, very secure because you don't want your competitors knowing or getting access to it. So let's just talk about that for a moment. Where are you keeping all this data? How are you keeping this in sync? Where are your data centers? Do you get an option to sort of keep it in the part of the world where you are located, or how does all that work?
Yeah. So this is the magic potion from DataPocket, I think, is that we don't store any of the images. We develop DataPocket in a way that all we do is we read the e-commerce like you and I, we could do from any e-commerce in the world right now. But what we do is we only ask for the picture when you click on the image. So with the server, with the cloud server with Amazon, all you do is in that very moment is the only time you really ask for the picture. And that's when the picture is uploaded and downloaded in real time. And the human eye cannot really see that microsecond of is it called petition?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Kind of like a webhook in there. And in that very moment is when you ask for the picture. So DataPocket is not really storing any of the images at any time.
So does that mean that some images... Okay, so...
They're always on your backend.
Yeah, so I'm just imagining a scenario where I'm using Photoshop. In order for this to work, I need to not just be using it on my machine. Do I need to be using the Adobe Cloud in order to make this work? In other words, does that image always need to be somewhere? Because if I've just worked on an image, DataPocket hasn't consumed it, but it's connected to it, and I switch my computer off and it's only on my hard drive. How do you get it off there if somebody else suddenly requests it?
So what you do is first, so obviously if you don't work online, so if you don't have Wi-Fi at that very moment,
right,
you will have the latest version of the image. So let's say at 147, you synchronized your WooCommerce, right? But at 148, you're using the Photoshop in your hard drive without any Wi-Fi. If you change any images on that time, they're not really going to change in real time because there's no connection. They will change the next time around that you have a Wi-Fi connection and that synchronization is happening. But in the meantime, what we do is that we have read your images and your text and your pricing from WooCommerce, which is information that is really publicly available. And then all you do is just in that very moment, when you click on it, is when you really send the image from one side to the other.
I got it. Okay, that kind of makes sense to me. So tell us, firstly, let's just reiterate that point. You don't have access to this data per se. It's not being stored in any kind of data center that you own or anything like that.
No.
You're just you're being the helpful bridge, the connector between the two entities at the moment that it's required. Yeah, okay. Tell us about some of the sort of customers that you've got and the kind of uses they're putting it to. I mean, I know you did that a little bit there with the company with 2,000 designers, but maybe most of the people that are listening to this probably are not working for a company with 2,000 designers. Let's scale it down a little bit. Let's imagine a company where an agency of 10 or 12 or 15 or 20 people. How does it help those kind of people who are working in the office all at the same time? They can shout across to each other. Is there a benefit there, or is it, maybe it's not for them?
What we're seeing is, for example, we're seeing agencies where they're not only specialized on one e-commerce. So maybe they have one Shopify client, one WooCommerce client, one PrestaShop client. Thanks to DataPocket, they can have all the e-commerce inside at the same time, and with access to all their designers. Imagine you have 10, as you said. All of these 10 people have access to the 3 e-commerce platforms at the same time. So what happens here is, again, this is the most difficult part to understand because it's technically, it was impossible before, right? But if one of your colleagues is using Figma and I'm using Canva, both of us, we're going to see all the Shopify content, all the WooCommerce content, and all the PrestaShop content in the same DataPocket account. So that's when it really works out, because there's, again, no emailing, no quick messaging, no Dropboxes all around with thousands of folders. Everything is on one place, including the text.
What if let's say that I'm in, let's go with WooCommerce. Let's say that I'm in there and I delete something. And I really do delete it. I go to great lengths to make sure it's gone, but I didn't mean to. It was an accident, and it's now been deleted. It sounds like, given the nature of the infrastructure that you've got, if I do that, I've I've done it. It's gone, and you won't be able to rescue me because it's not the sort of backup solution that I imagined at the beginning.
Yeah. So if you delete something from your WooCommerce, it will be deleted from DataPocket.
And then so there is a
so
single point of failure there. If somebody the new intern accidentally deletes the entire.
I mean, if you delete the product, you're gonna have a problem with or without DataPocket.
yeah. It's interesting though. Yeah, but I suppose the I mean, I don't know. You can tell me. Has that been an issue with the sort of way it's set up? Have you had people come to you saying, "I deleted something. Help me"?
No, because we know that it's their problem. That's why DataPocket is so helpful, because and that's why I wanted to point out about security, and that's something we have in our website. We are not in charge of your backend anytime, and we never store any of your personal data. So that's why we never came across this problem, right? Of someone asking us, hey, I deleted something from my e-commerce. Why is not in Canva anymore? And it's like, well,
you deleted it.
I think you first need to solve your problem in your backend, and then it will be again on Canva.
I just kind of got used to the idea that if I delete something in my Google Drive, there's a trash bin somewhere that I can return to and say, it's there. Look, I deleted it accidentally, but I've still got it until 30 days have passed. But the scenario here is not quite the same. So can you connect multiple things all at the same time? Let's say, for example, I've got, 2 or 3 e-commerce shops. Is that something I can do, or is this a connection?
Yeah.
One account, one e-commerce account. That's it.
You can connect multiple, and I think that's where DataPocket is super helpful for agencies, for example.
So a WooCommerce agency in particular would really benefit from this, because they could connect it to all of their sites, and presumably there's ways of mitigating overlap. So designs for the shoe shop do not collide with designs for the curtain shop. You can silo them and say, okay, shoe shop stuff goes there, curtain shop stuff goes there, and never the twain shall meet.
Exactly. And just like that. So you have different spaces, it's called the spaces, and work spaces. And then it will work exactly like WordPress. When, for example, you have someone doing your blog post, but you don't want them to have access to your pages. So you just give them the permissions of author, right? So it will be something similar. So, for example, it's up to you, really, if you want to have everyone having the same access or different levels of permissions.
Okay, so there's permissions in there. You can. What kind of permissions are those? Is it like, view, edit, delete?
So it's like the permissions that you have is, for example, as you said, do you want the 3 different WooCommerce to appear?
Yep.
Or do you want this designer to only have access to one of them? It's just more like that.
Okay. And so presumably, if this product can scale, you're taking it from, let's say, 1 e-commerce shop to 2 to 3 to 4. I guess that leads us fairly quickly into the pricing model that you've got. I don't know what your pricing model is, but are you ramping it up per connection or ramping it up per amount of data transferred? How is it all working?
It's a very good question. So the product is fairly new. It got launched in June this year. And we had a strategy at the beginning where it was just about branding, because the DataPocket was born thanks to Canva. We are partners, we work with them, and we are part of the developers from Canva. So this was just a deal with them at the beginning to develop a new app to connect e-commerce with Canva. But we took it one step farther, right? So we went to Figma and Adobe, etc.
Right.
The idea here is that you're getting the fresh news, to be honest.
Oh, nice.
Up until now, it was branding, but now, it was free. Like, I think it was way too free, actually.
I like that expression. That's way too free.
Yeah, and now we're gonna start charging for real-time connections. So, for example, WooCommerce is gonna cost you €3 per month. And if you connect to Shopify, then it's going to be another €3.
Okay, so the model is the number of connections that you've got. So if you've got a team which is using 4 different tools, you're going to need to connect it in 4 different ways. And in effect, that's 4 different kind of packages that you need to throw into your bundle.
Exactly.
And is there like a base fee if you jump on and just have the one connection? So, I don't know, WooCommerce straight to Canva. How does that work?
So at the beginning is fairly free. So for
nice.
example, CSVs are free. So if you have, for example, I don't know, your restaurant menu, your doctor's list or whatever, that's for free. But then WooCommerce, for example, you have to pay €3. Yeah. And there's also AI coming on the way.
There's
like
always AI
does.
coming on the way.
I know. We've done it because of what you just said. Everyone is doing it, so we said
Yeah.
we have to do it.
Yeah, if there isn't AI, everybody wants to know why there's no AI.
Exactly.
Okay, so I've just actually clicked on the pricing page. So I'm at datapocket.app/pricing.
That's the old one. Yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay, so by the time this comes out, ignore that and go and look at the new one. But there's a free model that you can connect to one thing, particularly something like a CSV, and then after that, you're going to be paying on a sort of per connection basis. So the more that you ramp up, so it's not dependent on the number of users that are connecting to that. It's literally, if you've got Canva to, I don't know, and WooCommerce and Figma, that's 3. But could you connect 100 people in your team with that same 3 license bundle, if you know what I mean?
Right. That's the second part of the business model. So right now, when you open the pricing, you will see the second plan, which is paying. That's the pay per seat. So we are going to change it a bit. Maybe not pay per seat, so you don't have to pay per designer. But it's true that we're gonna make packages, because obviously it could get expensive when 100 designers are using the platform at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So there's gonna be limitations to that, as well as AI. AI is not gonna be unlimited either.
Okay, thank you. Okay, just before we round it off, a couple of questions about the future and then support. So you've got the product, it's very new, it's hot off the press, but you've still got what looks like a fully featured tool with lots of integrations for almost all the things that you would want to do in terms of e-commerce, linking that with almost all the tools that you're probably going to be using for design. Tell us about any other tools or integrations or thoughts or roadmap items, really. Anything which you've got as a possible roadmap item, even if it doesn't transpire. What's the direction you're thinking in the future?
Well, this is interesting. What we're seeing is larger enterprises asking for ad hoc software. So in this case, larger enterprises, as in, I don't know, imagine a clothing brand, which is big. So something like DataPocket, but just for them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the future that we are seeing right now, that is happening. And on the other hand, probably, I don't want to mess this around too much, but we also have other software products. And our idea is to probably connect all of them together in order to give kind of like a 360 solution for e-commerce mainly. So there's going to be automatic playlists of video for, how do you say this? Screens, these screens that are on the shops.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
You can keep that in sync as well. Nice.
Exactly. And with other software that we have, which is Filters, that is capable of creating video marketing in real time with e-commerce. So probably we're going to do kind of like a 360 package in there. So an e-commerce can create content automatically without doing anything.
That's fascinating. Just the idea that you'd be sitting, I don't know, anywhere in the world playing with your e-commerce website and safe in the knowledge that somewhere out on a high street somewhere a video is playing because you decided it needed to be played. That's really fascinating. Yeah, I think we've kind of probably I think I certainly misunderstood the products at the beginning, but I'm definitely getting more of an understanding of what it does now. So thank you for that. That's the first thing. And B, understanding that it's a new product. Hopefully there's lots of new things coming down the pike very, very soon. So I mentioned the URL, datapocket.app. You can go there and check it out. If we were to get into all this, one of the biggest things that I think prevents people is the pricing, whether or not that's suitable for them. So we know what that is now, but also the support, how you're going to help us integrate with it, because it does sound like there's a bit of a technical burden and figuring how it all works at the beginning. So how do you support people that you onboard, and then how do you support people after they've onboarded? Are you like a 24/7? Have you got people all over the world, or are you based in Europe? So tell us about the onboarding, the support that you give.
Yeah, it's a very good question. So we learned from our mistakes from Filkers, and now in DataPocket you have Intercom integrated. So
nice. Yep.
you can ask any questions, and we have two things. So we have an intelligent bot that is connected to the help desk, and we have created loads of articles that cover most of the questions, to be honest. And if the question is not resolved, we have a team dedicated to jump in and solve your question when it comes to connection mainly. I mean, we've seen people asking for AI because I think everyone is getting used to it.
Yeah.
Like, can you create a catalog for me? And it's like, no, no, sorry. But, I think it's the world is changing, technology is changing, and AI is beneficial, but it's also becoming a huge problem for today's society, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, you're not going to find me arguing with that sentiment. Jorge, if people have listened to this and they want to get in touch with you personally, where would they do that? Do you have a Twitter handle, email address? What's the best way to get to you?
So I'm very active on LinkedIn, to be honest. Like, it's probably my first social media account. But I also have Twitter. I do. It's very easy to find. It's Jorge Casals. And my email, I don't know if it's going to be very easy to spell it right now. Like, probably impossible.
Go on, give it a go.
So it's Jorge, which is Jorge @ and then this is the difficult part, Ovixia, which is OVIXIA.com.
It's on the bottom of the website. It says made with love by Ovixia, OVIXIA.com. Okay, that's great. Yeah, thank you. No, we got that. That was fine. Jorge, thank you for talking to us today. I do apologize for sort of misunderstanding exactly what it does, but hopefully somebody listening to this today will have a better understanding and reach out to you, and you never know, you might get yourself some more customers. So thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks to you. Thank you for the invitation.
Well, I hope that you enjoyed that. An absolute pleasure chatting to Jorge all about DataPocket. As you probably realized, I was a little bit out to sea and not quite understanding what it did, but hopefully Jorge's explanations really left you with the idea that you can sync data between your design software and your e-commerce store and between teams and so on. If you want to find any of the links, they will all be in the show notes, wpbuilds.com. Go there and then search for episode number 360. Please leave us a comment there. We love it when you leave comments on the actual website rather than posting them onto social media. The WP Builds podcast is brought to you today by GoDaddy Pro. GoDaddy Pro, the home of managed WordPress hosting that includes free domain, SSL, and 24/7 support. Bundle that with the Hub by GoDaddy Pro to unlock more free benefits to manage multiple sites in one place, invoice clients, and get 30% off new purchases. You can find out more by heading to go.me/WP-builds. Once more, go.me/WP-builds, and sincere thanks to GoDaddy Pro for their ongoing support of the WP Builds podcast. Okay, that's all I've got for you this week. Hopefully we'll see you at some point. Check out all that we're doing at wpbuilds.com/schedule. Put some of those things in your diary. I'm going to fade in some dreadful AI-generated cheesy music and say, stay safe. Have a good week. Bye-bye for now.